Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Excellent. Hi there. I want to thank you for being here. It's our 25th year of Writers Week. We are so excited to have you. Yay, right here. Of course, we always want to thank the boosters. We want to thank you for being amazing audience members. I see we've got some parents here in the audience. And everyone take a second to thank their teacher for bringing them today. First up, we have Ayushi Tripathi.
Hello, hi. First of all, I'd like to give a big shout out to Mrs. Shermer's 6th period class. Didn't expect that. And also to my parents who took time off work for this. So I think they're having me go first because my piece is kind of like depressing, so that's just like a forewarning. So let's get into it. Pride, given and carried. My parents named me while keeping in mind the flatness of the American English tongue, the one that doesn't stretch so easily around Hindi vowels. My name means one who lives a long life. Variations of it can be found in blessings passed from the older and respected to their young. Ayushman Bhava, long live. Carrying a family name means so much more than a word. It's bearing the pride, the reputation, and the legacy of your ancestors, a legacy my parents have tried their best to teach me. When our family went to visit India in 2015, my dad did his best to immerse me into the culture I've been so isolated from. A particularly stressful instance of this immersion entailed me going up to a street vendor with my poorly accented Hindi and buying some toothpaste. The vendor was laughing at me with little pretense of subtlety, but that minty fresh taste after days of airline travel left me feeling like the winner in that round. I've always been a little wary around my extended family, partially due to my embarrassing lack of fluency and partially out of fear for being judged as an ABCD, American-born confused desi. Regardless, my dad told me, spend time with your dadi. You can learn a lot from her. I tried, I really did, but my grandmother was intimidating to me, grizzled and tough as nails. I was but a weak 8th grader, making half-hearted attempts to help out around the house before I scurried away to a corner with decent Wi-Fi. Needless to say, my dad was less than thrilled with my efforts. A year or so later, after struggling with heart problems, my grandmother passed away. And my first thought was of my dad, who lost his father only 3 years previously. I've never seen him cry, and all the way to India, I didn't see him shed a single tear, but the pain I saw in his face the day before we arrived in his hometown haunts me still, a pain that left me at a loss for how to help. Despite being in mourning, my dad took me with him to learn more about his family's past as we zipped across Varanasi on a scooter, running errands and setting affairs in order as dust kicked up into my eyes. He told me stories about his youth, his siblings playing in gardens and alleys, his favorite sweet shops and food vendors, and I did my best to soak it all in. But perhaps the most memorable stories he told me were of his parents. My father worked long hours to provide for us, he told me. It fell upon my mother to do everything else. My dadi married young and raised 3 children, often on her own, doing her utmost to bring them up with the morals and values characteristic of the family name, sanskari. Through these stories, I gained a whole new dimension of respect for her, and the grizzled that I so often perceived in her took on a new meaning, resilient. On the day of our departure, we stood a ways away from the entrance, suitcases piled up by the door. My dad looked around, sighed, and I could see that pain in the creases of his eyes. I didn't know what to say to someone who has lost so much. So I said very quietly, "Your parents are proud of you." My father looked at me and he said, "No. I am proud of my parents." I can't heal a pain like that. I didn't know what to do then, and I don't know what to do now. But what I carry with me is not just the name Ayushi Tripathi, it is the resilience and strength of those who came before me. It's not simply my own life that stretches long, but the stories of the people that I descend from, their values and morals grown into my bones, and long will they live. Thank you. Give a warm welcome to Riley Corrigan.
I'd like to give a shout out to everyone at 6 Hour Lunch. They're really an amazing class. In all seriousness, no. I do appreciate all of the English teachers that have taken the time. So, let's get on with this. Normally, I bike to school. The sun, just peeking over the rugged houses, seems hesitant to start the day. But when the winter months come clawing into the world, and the sun stays hidden longer and longer, I retreat to the safety of my mom's car and get driven to school. On the days I'm not running around to get everything done, I take a slow half-hour walk home. It gives me time to think about the world, about life in general. These thoughts lead me to marvel at science. I love the order, the logic, the infinite complexity that is embodied by the unchanging natural logic of real science. The concept that has me most intrigued has been probability and chaos theory. Probability, on one hand, lets math determine the likelihood of any outcome any event brings. We're all aware of the classic example of a person flipping a coin and knowing it has equal probability to land on heads or tails. But when they actually flip a coin, it will never be both heads and tails in equal proportions. It will be either heads or tails in a quantity of 100%. But why does a coin move to land on either side over the other? In the words of one particularly unfortunate Jurassic scientist, this is where we get to chaos theory. It assumes that the minute details that make up all of existence will create difference. In our coin example, the way the thumb flips the coin makes an enormous difference. The exact technique can never be replicated each time, so the same person flipping the same coin will get different results. For me, these minute details can be hard to understand, yet I can still quantify some of them. In the big picture, the minute details that make up all of existence can be categorized, juggled, stacked, and placed in calculated slots to create a whole beautiful world. Returning to our coin flipping friend, they could know everything about their thumb technique, the way the coin's weight alters its movements, even how a single air molecule slows down the coin's rotation. They could know exactly which side the coin would land on with perfect accuracy. But I will almost never know all the intersections of chance, all the matter that influences a single outcome. The coin flip could never be calculated with full confidence. I simply don't know everything required to do that. However, the universe does know everything, or well, the laws of physics do. These concepts are absolute pillars of reality. Once all the information is taken into account for one event, the outcome is self-evident. If one knew all the information for every event in the universe, one could predict future outcomes all the way till the end of time. The universe would seem a game of chess, galaxies as rooks, knights, bishops, and human civilization as a mere pawn. The power that can be gained through science and technology is limitless, and the fact that I will never be able to reach it is both frustrating and humbling. I make the most of what I can, of what I know, of what I can achieve. I maybe last until the end of it all, and look back seeing in hindsight what I could never see ahead. Then I will be gone, having acted out in the enormous play that is reality. Despite the fact that every action is understandable before it happens, I live in uncertainty. I know not what will be, and therefore am given the opportunity to make my own choices. Unburdened by the predestination that haunts a higher being. In my simplicity, I bring with me human ideas and concepts unique to my species, and I find beauty in them. It's amazing what you can think of up by just taking 30 minutes out of a chilly winter day. Thank you, and next up is Shreya Mukherjee.
Hello, my name is Shreya. Just a shout out to my 6th period English class. And then also Nicole Suarez and Christina Chen. And then a special shout out to Alex Zed. And Fiona. Sorry, okay. So just a little bit of background about this piece. It was my personal statement for my college applications, and I only ever shared it with one other person, and then also like all the colleges who read it. And whenever people asked me about it, I always said it was really hard to explain unless I actually read the piece. So here it goes. Thank you. I drank in that expression of gratitude as if it were rainwater, the taste of which was long forgotten after a drought. However, my twinge of satisfaction was immediately followed by deep regret. I begrudgingly turned to look at my clock, only to confirm what I already knew. It was past midnight, and I had not started any of my homework. 3 grueling hours later, I fell into my pillow and drifted off to sleep. This treacherous routine was the result of a web I had woven for myself many years ago. I had attended 3 different elementary schools by the time I was 12 years old, so the ability to make friends was absolutely vital. I found that the quickest way to do so was to eradicate the word no from my vocabulary whenever someone asked for my help. My innate generosity appealed to others, and I quickly gained new friends, as well as the reputation of someone who was always available to help. However, my friendly disposition became an unlikely burden upon entering high school. In response to a more strenuous curriculum, I found myself caught in a whirlwind of text messages and emails requesting my help. By day, I led study sessions for my peers in the library, and by night, I headed Skype sessions helping fellow members of the debate team research assignments and arguments for upcoming tournaments. Each day, my routine became increasingly difficult. However, every encounter culminated with a sense of fulfillment and a smile. My friends' thankfulness invigorated me, filling me with the energy necessary to complete my own work. But one evening, after the cacophony of text alerts had played its final chords, I was left with only enough energy to trudge to bed and leave my own assignments for the following morning. I realized that the smiles that had once illuminated my face had dimmed, and it seemed as though my devotion to others no longer yielded the same level of appreciation. Unlike the sweet taste of gratitude that I had once enjoyed, this was a bitter pill to swallow. I discovered that as the years elapsed, my happiness had begun to rely on the appreciation from others. One night, for the first time in years, I decided to decline requests for help. While this move had liberated me, I entered an entirely different prison. As a result of not helping those around me, I did not receive any gratitude in return, leaving me feeling unfulfilled. Disappointed with my sudden selfishness, I shifted my sights beyond my current situation and towards the plan I had concocted years ago. My eagerness to help had originated as a means of making friends, but it had become an avenue through which I could satisfy my desire for appreciation. When I could no longer satiate that craving, my joy began to disappear. So, I made it my mission to retrace my steps and reclaim my happiness. I came upon the realization that my unhappiness manifested itself when I began to expect gratitude in exchange for my actions. While lamenting over a supposed lack of appreciation, I had lost sight of why I offered help in the first place. I offered help to those around me in order to make new friends. After making friends, I began receiving appreciation. However, whatever happiness I felt from the results of my help paled in comparison to the joy I received from the act of helping itself. I feel the most elation when I choose to live wholly in my actions rather than in anticipation of the results. While a token of gratitude for my help is welcomed, it is no longer expected. There are days when I falter, and a part of me yearns for more recognition. However, a larger part reminds me to pursue enjoyment in what I do, not what I may achieve. It is truly my pleasure. And I'd like to welcome Natasha Januszewska.
Hello, I'm Natasha, and I'm going to read a piece I titled Everything Now by me, but it's based on a song, one of my favorites. People say that the worst things in life are free, and most of the time you're dealing with it on your own. The idea that we have to be in a relationship to be happy in life is simply cruel, as if we have to find it because there's absolutely no way that we can already be complete on our own. The society forces us to believe that we're worthless alone. It's ridiculous, but we still fall for it. So many of the people that I know say that they want to be in love, but love isn't all rainbows. And don't get me wrong, you can love with all your heart, but loving someone the way I loved drains you. Sleeping does nothing because it's your soul that's tired. It's actually crazy how you can forgive the biggest mistakes because you love. You can be hurt over and over again, and the second they say they're sorry, you'll take them back because your brain cannot comprehend losing them. Sometimes we love how a person makes us feel. We love the idea of who they could become, not who they are. Finding someone you fall in love with can be the best feeling in the world, or it can crush you. Heart and soul, and all of you will disappear in that feeling. I fell in love with the wrong person, and I didn't realize it until a year later when he broke my heart. You never know if the person you love is the one for you, and if they're not, and you let it grow and damage every single cell in your body, you hardly ever heal. It's basically like playing Russian roulette, but only one of the chambers is empty. Is it worth it to feel pain for so long for that one chance at happiness? I don't know. Would you take a bullet for every risk you take? Is it painful when you give all of you to someone who wasn't meant for you? It's lethal. Oh, those lonely nights thinking how you messed up, blaming yourself that it didn't work out when it wasn't supposed to. You wonder how can you ever trust again knowing how naive you were in the past. Seeing people fall in love all around you makes you even more devastated because that used to be you. And it doesn't truly get better, not for a long time. You are alone and in pain, spending every night crying yourself to sleep. It's chaotic. It turns everything you ever had or you thought you had around, and the whole time it hurts to breathe, to wake up, to brush your teeth, to eat, to talk. It hurts to hurt. It's dying but still being alive to witness it. When everything seems hopeless, when you've memorized the lyrics to every sad song possible, when you think that you're just not good enough because that one person doesn't want you, when you realize that you actually won every I love you more fight because you're the one that's still devastated while the other person is better than ever, when you think that you can never stop loving someone you once fell for, when you realize that they will never be a stranger to you, even if you try to fake it to seem stronger, you will always notice them when they walk into the room. You will always look for them in the crowd. Right when it seems like you can never move on and you will never stop hurting, that's when you start to move on. And don't get me wrong, moving on doesn't mean you don't care. You always will. It doesn't mean you're not sad anymore or you don't love them anymore. It means that it doesn't hurt as much as slicing you open anymore. You start to remember the bad memories. You stop blaming yourself for everything and see the things that you did right. You realize that you can't be mad about them being with someone else because we all are looking for our own happiness. Eventually, after all those hours you spent listening to breakup songs, you truly start to listen. You truly start appreciating music, poetry, art, and dance. Books have a whole new meaning, and school isn't as cruel as it used to seem. You finally start devoting yourself to the things that were already beautiful, but you couldn't notice them because you thought the world has ended. You realize that you are good enough, and what that person thinks doesn't matter because they are not your world anymore. And with time, it'll truly get better, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how lonely you may be, no matter how hopeless everything seems. And then, many months later, after realizing things about yourself you never dreamed of realizing, you are happy again. And I'm not talking about temporary happiness when you laugh at a joke your friend said or watch a funny movie. I'm talking about true happiness. When you smile with your eyes, your skin, toes, and lungs, and yes, even with your liver. All you see is everything now. Thank you. Up next is Ananya Singh.
I'm Ananya, and shout out to Mrs. Schomer's 6th period English class. This is a piece I wrote called My Family. I don't trust people very easily. Since day one, I've been very good at setting up boundaries, at separating myself, at staying in my comfort zone, at listening and letting other people do the talking. But this year, something changed. I allowed myself to be a little vulnerable, opened up to more people, and showed a side of me I didn't know I had. I transformed from the girl who hides in her shell to one who loves being happy, has energy, and loves to make others smile. So what flipped the switch? From swim and dive. I clearly remember walking into my first day of practice in August of 2016. Just a freshman, I was terrified, thinking I wouldn't be fast enough, wouldn't have anyone to talk to, or wouldn't fit in. Little did I know it would be the exact opposite. I went home that day beyond excited to have been accepted into this community, and the excitement hasn't faded to this day. I was so happy to be at every practice, to meet new people, and be a part of this experience. But to me, it was still just a sport. It was fun, sure, but the focus was on what went on in the pool. People would tell me, be thankful for these 4 years. These people are like your family. They're your sisters. By no means did I not love the team, but it was still just a team. I was stunned by the bond and love I shared for my friends, but I struggled to find that stronger connection. I didn't understand that I needed to open myself up to this family, to love others so fiercely. I rarely spoke to upperclassmen, wouldn't express my thoughts, and allowed myself to blend into the background. My sophomore year, things changed slightly. I was there for my friends when they needed to talk, reassured them that their problems could be solved, and eased incoming freshman anxiety by telling them it would all be okay. But swimming was still just swimming, and practice was still just practice, something I feared more than I enjoyed. My friends changed, and I loved the friends I made, but I struggled to understand how this love expanded to the team. I said I loved the team, but my presence remained mostly unknown, and I remained mostly secluded, still the same quiet girl in the background. I became close friends with one senior, and as April rolled around and it came time to say goodbye, I remember her telling me, "You're such a good, spunky, smart person. Use your brain and your voice. You have to put yourself out there. Be more assertive, make yourself known, be a leader." Junior year. Right off the bat, things began a little rocky as I questioned my abilities and felt unconfident. My solution was to fake it till I made it. For the first time, I became open to becoming close with brand new people and made lots of different, very close friends. I forced myself to put myself out there, say what I felt, be loud, turn my happiness into infectious energy, and be someone who makes people feel loved. And for a while it worked. Making others happy made me happy, and that was enough. And then it all came crashing down. The energy ran out, the weight of expectation to be perfect pushed me under, and I fell down a hole I couldn't pull myself out of. I felt alone, unwanted, exhausted, and pushed myself into seclusion just as I had the past 2 years. But this time I wasn't allowed to. When I became vulnerable and felt alone, I found I had an army of people behind me, there to listen to me, love me, and pull me out of the hole I couldn't see the top of. The love I felt for the people around me was reciprocated, and in the darkest of times, I had people who refused to be pushed away. I had a family. It wasn't about the pool anymore. The pool was just what brought us together, our shared home. It was about the love we had for each other, the bonds we created, and the responsibility we shouldered to hold each other together. What is it about this team that makes me so passionate? The love we extend to each other. For weeks, I made a conscious effort to be the person who makes everybody feel like a somebody, to take on others' problems in order to stop thinking about my own, and to be the most selfless person I could. And I found when I became the person who couldn't hold themselves up and couldn't find any love for themselves, I had over 60 sisters to love me and convince me of my worth. The selflessness of these girls and the love they share for every member of our team is remarkable to me. No one is allowed to fall through the cracks because everybody deserves to be loved. It's okay to have baggage because our job is to hold each other's. The people on this team have made it okay for me to be who I am. It made me feel like I had a home at school. It made me feel so loved, and it loved me for who I am. It's the never-ending love extended to me that has allowed me to be myself, has pulled me out of my shell, and has made me want to share this beautiful, infectious, all-encompassing love with everyone I can. The family I've become a part of is one that has changed me more than I know, and I will forever be grateful. Thank you, From Aquatics, for giving me a home and a family and teaching me to have the courage to be who I am. Up next is Allie Davis.
Hi guys, I'm Allie, and today I'm going to be speaking about something I wrote called A Message to Myself, I Am Enough. Beauty. One word, 2 syllables, millions of definitions. If you would define it in your own words, what would that look like? Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines it as the quality or aggregate of qualities in a person or thing that gives pleasure to the senses or pleasurably exalts the mind or spirit. 2 words, self-image. 2 words that mostly every girl and boy living on planet Earth in the 21st century know a lot about. Growing up in the era that we are in is not easy. We have grown up playing with Barbie dolls that have proportions that are impossible to hold a human being upright. But you are enough. If the classic Barbie doll were to be transformed to be a real woman, she would physically have to walk on her legs and her arms to be able to hold herself upright. We have grown up into thinking that this classic Barbie doll is a definition of beauty and how women should look like. But you are enough. Extremely skinny, tan, big boobs and butt, large hips, skinny waist. But beauty is not one size fits all. This creates the mindset of viewing beauty in a prejudiced way. Technology is all around us, displaying people that are not the real human being behind the screen. It has brought a new rush of issues into this world, one of which includes body image and self-image issues. But you are enough. Social media platforms such as Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, you name it, all display an unrealistic account of people's lives. People post what they want to post. They are not going to show you the bad side of their life because they don't want others to know about that. This creates a cycle of young girls and boys thinking that they are not worthy and that they are not good enough. But you are enough. Take a look at all the editing apps that are available to us at our fingertips now. Visco, Facetune, and Airbrush are just a few examples of the apps that people surround their Instagram feeds around. A few clicks to the perfect body that you have always dreamed of. But you are enough. People use these apps to modify their body to something that they realistically cannot do, whether that be making themselves taller or shorter, their arms skinnier, or their hips and butt bigger. Even though some of those things are achievable, people would rather use an app to modify their insecurities in the matter of a few minutes. but you are enough. In the line at the store, if you look to your left or to your right, there's mostly always magazines with men and women on the front covers who appear to have the perfect bodies. That is not because they're in the gym 24/7 or eat the strictest diet. It is because they Photoshop all over them to make them seem unrealistically perfect. But you are enough. What that photo doesn't show is all the things on that model's body that our society thinks is not beautiful. Stretch marks, fat, pimples, scars, blackheads. Self-image is something most people deal with because it has been engraved in our minds to think that the most beautiful body is someone who is skinny, tall, has a small waist, but big hips, and many more things. But you are enough. Every body is beautiful no matter what shape, size, height, color, or structure. We're all unique in our own ways, and our society has to change and realize that that is what makes each and every one of us different. If we all strive to look like that model you saw on the magazine cover, we would never look like them because they were built differently than us. We've been growing up in an age that says you have to look a certain way to be validated, successful, have a lot of friends. The list goes on and on. But you are enough. This is one of the most unrealistic things. We're all different and unique in our own ways and can never strive to be another person because we are already our own. You are beautiful no matter what you think you are and what you think you see in the mirror because you are enough. Change that self-defeating mindset into more of a self-complimenting mindset. You are perfect just the way you are, and don't let society or anyone else tell you that you are not, because you are enough. We need to redefine the word beauty. Beauty means embracing the flaws and insecurities you have. Beauty means to own how you look and own your personality. Beauty means being you. And so you may think you're fat, too skinny, ugly, short, tall, dumb, weak, not worthy, not loved, not strong enough, not smart enough, not cared for, not beautiful. But you are enough, and so am I. Thank you.
All right, folks, now starts our question and answer section. And I asked our folks to think about a question first. I asked them to think about a metaphor for their writing process. So they're going to share that with us.
I couldn't come up with like a great answer for this, but you know how people always warn you that like you go to a party and someone's just gonna randomly inject you with drugs? It's like that, but with writing like inspiration for me. Like, I mean, I'm not at parties, I don't go to parties, but I mean, like, I'll just be chilling or something, and then like it's like someone jammed a syringe of inspiration. I don't know. This is a terrible metaphor, but I just get like random inspiration, and it, yeah.
I guess this is like a simile, but my writing style, I would say, is like lightning. It just kind of happens and then it'll go away in bursts.
So I kind of just made mine up, but I think mine is like a river because it's constantly flowing and I'm constantly like thinking about different ways that I could write about different things that I'm going through. So yeah.
Mine is, I guess, kind of like a tank of water with like a tiny hole at the bottom. Like I'll be stressed and have a bunch of pressure on me, and then I just start writing to get it out of my head.
Mine's a bowl of orange chicken and rice from Pan Express because it's really good. And it's like, so the meat part is like the main parts of my writing, and the rice is like the filler words, I guess.
So I'm thinking a joke. I already have an extended metaphor planned out here, but just a small taste is I think writing is a bit like a burst. Similar to a joke. You have a burst of creativity, of inspiration. You sort of just in a moment you get out onto a page or into the air with other people, and then sometimes looking back on it is a bit. Well, I think you've all reread your writing. You know how that sort of feels. So. I think it's similar with jokes, and it's they sort of work together, I think.
All right, so open up to you guys. What questions do you have for our folks up on stage? I know you're taking a lot of time to think it over for some good questions. That's awesome. Excellent. Go ahead. Will you say that one more time? Okay, do you hope to pass your inspiration or the themes that you've talked about onto like your siblings or people around you?
When it comes to like sharing my writing, it's not like I like try to hit you over the head with the metaphor, but it's like little things that I'll try to, I don't know, it sounds like brainwashing, but when I'm writing, I try to strive for like, not like everything's like a perfect moral like paragon of virtue, but it's like this is a terrible answer, but like with your guys' pieces about like loving yourself and like if I'm writing characters doing something, I won't have them be like perfect, but if they make a mistake or something, then I want that to be in some indirect way, like a way for people to sort of learn from what my characters are doing, and then kind of try to understand how they can then apply that to themselves. Yeah.
The question was sharing inspiration to like siblings and stuff. I think my sister's more creative than I am, so she kind of gives inspiration to me sometimes. But but as for like my writing itself, I'm usually kind of reluctant to share it. So, I mean, yeah, I guess both.
For me, I think that I really wanted to like inspire people with this, because I know that it's something like a lot of people deal with, and it's something that I was dealing with for a while and still do. And so I wanted to make sure that everyone knew like how much they're actually worth, and I think it's like an important message that everyone needs to hear sometimes. So.
For me, well, I wrote about my team, so I guess like that team has helped me so much, so I just wanted to capture like the spirit that I felt going into it so that I can try and create that same environment for people coming in now.
I don't really share my writing to like my family. Like my friends, yes, they encourage me about it at all, like a lot. And yeah, I don't really share with my family because they just don't like poetry. I don't know why.
So I sort of did. I actually didn't tell my family I was going to be doing Writers Week, as of yet, even. So I might mention it later tonight, I guess. So yeah, I think the basis for inspiration is definitely more peer focused for me.
All right, so you all have seen some amazing things today. I'm going to need you to do me a favor, though. We are ending just a smidge before the bell's going to ring. So I need you all to do a favor for me and respect the hall monitors in the hallway, the student supervisors, for the 5-minute freeze, right? Linger on in here a little bit. Linger in the lounge area, right? And have a wonderful day. Thank you, you guys.